He is. Okay. Let me know when you got the recording stuff set up, bud. If you're talking, we can't hear you. I'm guessing that you're going to share your screen while you're.
Yeah.
Uh,
Open up.
which version are you going to reference in?
Your list is great.
Test.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. Yeah. Hold on. Sorry about that. I don't know why my
No, you're
headset
good.
wasn't working.
You're good. You're good.
Yep. We're live. We're good to go.
Okie dokie. Welcome everyone to another town hall meeting here in the Dargo Discord. Tonight, very excited to get a pretty much a coaching session from the Zach Adler, tournament, invitational champion, Prince Charming of the CDH world, Smolder Master. But you can go ahead and introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are. I can't imagine they don't know who you are, but if they don't, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm just a CDH player who got lucky at a tournament. But I appreciate the praise, Colin. It does mean a lot coming from you,
Oh,
and I'm pumped to be chatting with everyone here about all
oh,
this
great.
stuff.
So now Zach Adler, known liar. Great. Awesome.
Fuck. uh,
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day, out of your weekend to come,
yeah.
essentially teach us how to do something. I know you have shown me and talked to me about different ways that you've used to practice different things on Blue Farm, different things in different decks, and I've noticed that a lot of your practice habits are just elite level stuff. So I wanted you to come in and show a way to practice Necro that I personally I have not been able to practice as efficiently as I'd like to. And I was
Yeah.
like, if I can't do it that well, I'm sure there's others who can't either. So I want to learn
Yeah.
from the master. So let's take it from here.
Heck yeah. Okay. Quick note, I just got a new computer and I have to quit Discord and reopen to be able to enable screen sharing permissions. So I will be right back. I just got to make sure that this is good so I can start sharing.
All right.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Sure. For those of you who didn't know the kind of agenda for today, it was a lot of people voted that they wanted the Necropotence practice, or like how to practice Necropotence, or what to do with Necropotence piles with this deck in particular, because it's a very hard deck to uh like do Necro lines on. And the typical
Okay,
Necro lines that you'll see
I'm back.
in Blue Farm and Blue decks are much more like Rip 30 and Prey. This deck doesn't do
Mhm.
that quite as well. So Zach is going to show us how he practices. If you guys want
Yeah,
to watch his live stream.
awesome. Can you guys hear me okay and see my screen?
Yeah, you're
Yes.
good to go.
Yeah, all good.
Sweet. Okay, so just quick PSA. I do want to note that how I do this is not like, the best way. It's not the way that I think everyone should do it. It's just how I do it. And so I just say that as just grain of salt, like take it as an opinion and not as like gospel or anything. So yeah, and if anyone has notes along the way, please let me know. Again, Dargo Timon is not my main deck, but I have played it a decent amount. And so I do think the complexity with Necro is really fun with the deck. And it makes it really interesting. So yeah, so generally, as a sort of a pregame action, as we like to say, things that I want to do with Necropotence are kind of varied, and they do also have to do a lot with politics. If I get a Necro down and there's people at the table who have interaction, um, I either am going to be told that by them casting, Force of Will on my Necropotence, and then having to sort of backtrack and say, "Hey, can we talk about this?" Or I'm going to kind of preemptively talk about it. So that's kind of what I like to do with a lot of spells. And in the EU, the way that their game rules are set up is you do have to be a lot more preemptive with your spells because it's much more difficult / impossible to take things off of the stack once they enter the stack. In America, we have the luxury of being able to politic after a spell has been cast. And if that politics has had, a change, like a reason the spell should be taken off the stack, you can do that as long as any new information has not been revealed, such as like a Rhystic study trigger, i.e. I cast Necro, someone drew off Rhystic, they cast Force of Will. We can't really go back from that point because a card was drawn. But if someone casts a Force of Will after I cast my Necro, and there's a trigger on the stack, I can say, hold on, don't draw that card yet. Let's have a conversation about this first. So that's the first thing about Necro is how I like to politic it. Again, the first step would be if I'm concerned about someone having interaction, I'm going to say, hey, I have a Necropotence I'd like to cast here. Is someone going to interact with me if I do that? Decision tree from here is we get a yes or a no. So someone, whole table kind of looks at their cards, shakes their heads, and is like, I got nothing, go for it. That's a great way to get some information as well, and lets you know kind of how you want to play that Necro. The second flowchart option here is that they say, yeah, I do have a piece of interaction. I probably am going to counter it. And that's when you can start politicking about it and say, all right, well, that's the plan I have right now. I'm going to cast it, and we can talk about deals regarding it. If you think there's no deal that can be made, feel free to counter it. If you want to have a conversation, let's do that. So once we get into that conversational part of things, that's when we start making assessments of how much value I'm allowed to get from this. And for those of you who play blue decks, this goes the other way as well. So if you have a counterspell, someone has a Necro, it's a great opportunity to get them to minimize the amount of value that they get from it while not using your interaction. On our side, getting that Necro to resolve, we want to start at the highest possible value we can get. And that usually looks like, threat assessing the rest of the table, saying, I don't think this is the biggest problem right now. Someone's going to win, et cetera, so that you don't have to make limitations on what you can do with that Necropotence. If they're not going to work with you there, then you can start making deals around how many cards you get from it. So this can really start anywhere. You can just make it very hazy, I would say. So you don't have to make like hard deals where you're like, I only get 10 cards. You could be like, I'm not going to go crazy on it. I just want to refill my hand, right? Like if I have, say I have like 3 cards or 4 cards and I have a Necro, I could at this point, if I have a Necro, show them my hand, show them that I'm not doing anything scary right now. That means nothing, obviously, because I'm about to rip however much I want off Necro, but sometimes that'll work. If that doesn't go as planned, that's when you want to start making deals, and you can be like, all right, how about I get 7 cards a turn, and I'll never go full send on this Necro. Like I'll never go for 20 life or more. And then from there, you just want to continue to kind of make deals that are reasonable for you, but that also will make it so that it resolves. So then you go from 7 a turn, usually go to around 5. I almost never want to go below 3 unless I really have no other plan. Like if this was my hand, and someone's like, you can have two cards a turn. Like that's pretty bad, but 1 card a turn is better than no cards a turn. So at the end of the day, you can usually make a deal around a Necropotence that's going to have it resolve one way or the other. Does that kind of all make sense as sort of the pregame to the Necro conversation?
Yeah, I mean, resolving the Necro is the first step to practicing the Necro, right?
Right. Yeah. How to talk about it. So let's just go into this, assuming that no one had interaction and we were able to resolve this Necropotence, and it's on board. Obviously, all this is context-based, so depending on the cards we have in hand, depending on what turn it is, depending on the board state, but I want to make this a little easier and just kind of create some more general rule of thumb sort of things to do when I play with Necropotence in most decks. And again, super different for blue decks, but it's nice just to have an idea of what we're trying to do. So let's just do this. I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to grab a Dark Ritual. We're going to pretend like this is a turn 1 Necropotence. So we'll grab a Dark Ritual. We'll grab a Scrubland. And then we'll randomize the other cards in our hand. So this is a 7 cards. So we have 4 more. We draw for turn. We go boop, Dark Rit, Necro. Okay, so this is a nice hand to do this with because we can see we don't have a lot of external resources to convert this into a win right away. So the initial game plan is to get those resources with the Necropotence. A lot of people when they play Necro, and the reason it's a really difficult card is because they'll go a little too hard. I've just seen people go like, I'm gonna rip for 30 here, right? And we can do that. It's going to be a little complicated, but Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it's pretty hard to convert that into a win because you're going to have very little life going after this, and you're going to need to convert pretty quickly. Plus, if we rip for 30 here and there's any creatures out, we end up going to pretty low life totals. And if we can't convert that into a win, we end up just kind of floundering. And the biggest thing, the worst thing about Necro is when you're at too low of life to activate it and you have to skip your draw step because you just remain in this sort of Necro locked situation. So activating for high numbers when you have low resources, like one land in play, not a lot in hand, is usually not the best way to go. What I tell people that I'm working with, clients, or when I'm playing with Necropotence, a good rule of thumb is I like to usually refill up to 15 cards in hand. That gives me the ability to go down to a 7 that's reasonable. It also doesn't make me look too threatening. And it gives me a turn to kind of set myself up for a good play afterwards. So let's do that right now and see what we get. So we're going to Necro for 10 here. I'm going to go down 10 life. And now we want to do what I call like Necropotence card assessment. The way I like to do this when I have a ton of cards in hand, it can be really overwhelming. And so the best way I like to handle it is by breaking cards down into categories. So pretty easily, I can put lands in a category. I can put mana in a category. I can put kind of clump like win conditions and tutors into the same category. And then I put interaction / removal in the last category. Voice, kind of in an odd spot here. I would call it interaction just because it's going to be useful. Deadpool, again, win condition and interaction, generally more win condition. So now I have my neat little piles, and this makes it a lot easier than just looking at a slew of cards in your hand. So first, we always want to start with lands because they are our best mana source. They cost us nothing, and they're non-conditional. When we're playing breach decks, it's great to put cards in our yards so that we have more opportunities. That means that fetch lands are usually a premium. The downside that they have is we have to pay a life, obviously, but that's generally okay. And we have to also assess if we think an opposition agent's coming out, or if Wanshi-Tongs or Archivist of Agmas are present. For me, most of the time, I'd rather just get a fetch land than a pain land in addition, because it means I can activate it multiple turns in a row while only paying 1 life. So in this case, I'm looking at my scrub land. I know I need red mana. I'm probably grabbing this Bloodstained Mire, and I'm putting all the cards that I don't like over in a separate pile. Again, when you're playing in person and these cards are all in your hand, you're not on Mox Field, I just kind of like to sort these manually in my brain or in my hand, and then move all the cards that I don't need off to the side. All right, so we got our land. Next, we want to go into mana. Generally want to keep as much mana as we can because the Necropotence is going to provide those cards that we need. So I don't need to make too many decisions on mana right now. I just know that I can kind of look through this and be like, all right, can I get a Dargo out? Burn Offering is going to be better. Do I have the ability to get a Mamber out? Same with the Culling the Weak. Rite of Flame is just free mana, even though it is the least amount of mana. So that's just a consideration here. Here, I'm kind of looking towards my plan, and we should probably get into that as well. The plan with Necropotence usually is I want to take the first turn to really set myself up. So I want to be able to establish more mana, and I want to start looking towards my path to victory. So if I'm looking here at a path to victory, I know that I could either have a sort of Final Fortune style path to victory, which might look like landing a silence effect, and then getting a Final Fortune, and then ripping for a lot of cards because we have a lot of protection there. I'm also looking for a sorcery speed win attempt. So that might be something where I'm setting myself up to win without digging super duper deep into Necro, casting a Final Fortune. And then the last thing that I'm looking for is instant speed Necros, which is obviously better in blue decks. But Kellen, are you on E-Zone? You are, okay.
Yes, yes, I am.
Emergent Zone is also another option. So we can set ourselves up in a really interesting way where we could just cast this Imp Seal, go get E-Zone, play it for our turn, and then rip Necro and crack the E-Zone. So that's another option that we have available to us. So again, just looking at this hand, this Soul Partition, generally not going to be useful right away unless I'm anticipating stacks pieces that I'm going to need to get rid of. If that's the case, I might want to hold on to this. Voice of Victory is pretty premium protection for us in that it's a creature and it's really hard to deal with. Alter the Wretched, I'm viewing more as a value piece. So in a blue deck, this might be like a Ristic Study, where I don't think that this is going to win me the game right away, and it's relatively mana intensive for something that doesn't 100% convert. So I'm more likely to kind of put it in this I don't really need it category. For Dargo deck specifically, we need fodder, right? We don't have a ton of that available to us. So one plan that I just kind of see right away is if I can get this Voice of Victory down and have a Final Fortune effect, this is going to give me 2 pieces of fodder in the creatures that it creates. And then I really can kind of go anywhere from that. And so Burn Offering plus Voice might be a good package to have here. This Mox Amber is pretty low mana and it requires us to have a legendary creature, so I'm less inclined to keep this. Imp Seal, super low mana, gets whatever we want. That seems great. Deadpool, don't feel like we need it here just because it's not a necessary card to win the game. We have Balloon Man if we want to go through techno loops. And so Deadpool's like something that could be good, sort of in the category of the Soul Partition, but it's pretty mana intensive. So I'd keep Soul Partition over Deadpool when I'm looking at this hand. All right, so now we are down to 8 cards, which is great, or I guess 9 here, which means we only have to get rid of 2 more. The 2 that I'd be looking at getting rid of would be this Imperial Recruiter, and it'd be between Soul Partition and Tainted Pact for me. Since we already have a tutor in the Imperial Seal, I don't think we need to double up with a second with the Tainted Pact. And we already have a pretty good amount of mana available to us, so that's great. I'm kind of thinking we can just get rid of this Tainted Pact and be comfortable with this 7 here. So based on everything I said, does anyone have any questions? Kellen, do you have any input about how you might have navigated this? I just want to pause here and make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I think that this is a really good. You actually went for the same cards I would have gone for. Like the whole time you were
Cool.
talking, I'm thinking Deadpool might have been an option because it is another win line. And when I look at this rip, I see turn 2 Voice of Victory, turn 3 win.
Yeah.
The only the Soul Partition versus the Tainted Pact to me is like the one big like very situational for what the board state looks like. Because if I'm
Yeah.
facing a tie-em, I'm keeping that Soul Partition and it's not even close. Like I
Totally.
know that because I know that rule of lock is coming down at some point. But
Yeah.
especially the fact that this is a turn 1 Necro with no other mana, I think it's really tough because you
Mhm.
could Tainted Pact for way more mana if you actually really needed it. But I don't. I think either one would have been fine. It's just situational
Yeah.
to where you're at.
Sweet. I like it.
So the line that I'm seeing here is actually keeping the Imperial Recruiter over the Imperial Seal,
Gotcha.
because if you do Voice, you actually don't get to tutor anything turn 2.
Mhm.
Whereas
True.
here you can go turn 2 Imperial Recruiter off the Rite of Flame, and you have the Color in the Week and the Sacrifice or Burnt Offering, whichever one that is, to then make the mana you need to cast Balloon Man. Like you can win off of this hand without necroing again.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. Kind of the sorcery speed win idea.
you don't have enough. You have enough mana for Imperial Recruiter, and that's about it.
So you go turn 2 Imperial Recruiter. You get
Okay.
Badlands here.
Okay.
Yep.
And you get Balloon Man here, obviously, in my opinion, or Techno. I prefer Balloon Man because it just gets you to the Techno if you don't find it in your Necro pile.
Mhm.
And then you have the Culling the Week, and that's Burnt Offering, correct?
Mhm.
So this actually gives you the mana you need because you use or you get that you can then use the mana off of Imperial Recruiter with the Burnt Offering and the oh my god, I can't even think. I'm so tired. And the Culling the Week to use mana for whatever you find off of the Necro. Like for example, my list I'm on Chance for Glory. So like
Mhm.
it makes it a little bit more awkward to cast that, but the Burnt Offering lets you cast your Final Fortune.
That's true.
So like here it's kind of like where the tutor you cast kind of impacts how quickly you can actually win if you're going for protection also. So like
Yeah.
if you go voice here, you can't imp seal. So then the imp seal is just useless in my head.
It's still turn 3 though, right?
Yeah. Both options are turn 3, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thought process here too is like, and again, it's really hard to know, but am I going to be seeing more removal or stack interaction? If I believe I'm seeing more stack interaction, this imp seal has a high likelihood of getting countered. The voice does not. And vice versa, if I'm like, oh, there's going to be a lot of stack interaction, i.e. more non-blue decks, then imp seal might be better because it's more likely to not be interacted with, and it can set me up. Like I could just go get an E-zone here and then go into my next turn, play E-zone, crack E-zone, and win
Well,
by...
you're not E-zoning until turn 4.
3.
Yeah, because turn 2 I imp seal. And then turn 3 I play the E-zone and I go deep.
Yeah, sorry. So like I just think that this is a really awkward necro because the mana is so tight.
Yeah.
And for me, I
for
like
sure.
the Imp because it actually finds a win condition, whereas Necro can find the other things you need, like mana, interaction, and the thing that you need when you're Necroing is a win. You don't necessarily need more cards; you need the specific cards also. So while Imp Seal gets you there, I think Imp Seal is the one. If you're going for Imp Seal, you get the E zone. If you're going for Imp Recruit, you're obviously going for the win and hoping that you just draw mana off your second Necro.
I'm actually gonna push back on this a little bit.
Mhm.
Like to me, this is a turn 2 voice of victory, rip another 10, and then turn 3 imp seal
Yeah.
for Final Fortune.
Yeah.
Imp seal for Final Fortune. And it is technically a turn 4, but no one else gets a turn, so I still count that as turn 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think both are more than viable at this point.
I like
Yeah.
your line way more if this is a seat 1 turn 1 Necro.
Oh yeah, that's what we're
Because
saying,
then,
right?
because then they're only getting 2 turns and you're getting your turn 4.
So why don't you just can't you just like voice like the MCL's whatever, but like you can just voice a victory, and then you go to combat, make your stuff, and then you have a Rite of Flame in the Calling the Week to convert the Imp Recruiter, right? Because like you're gonna draw a land, right? And then you convert that, and then you can just win turn 3,
Yeah,
right? Like you don't
yeah,
like the
Yeah, the
MCL
voice gives you
whatever.
the stack fodder you need for Dargo to go into Burnt Offering, and you can even keep the Tainted Pact in that situation. Like you can actually get rid of both
You just
Imp
have so much
Seal.
fucking mana.
Well, hold on.
You can get rid of Imp Seal and Rite of Flame here, and keep Tainted Pact. You
I think right.
theoretically could even keep Deadpool.
You can
No,
like
You
so
go
you
that
can
line.
take the MCL out and put the Mox Ember, and that makes it a little bit easier, like for sacks and shit. 'Cause I like the
Yeah.
Mox Ember right now is just a sack because I don't think the MCL you can win without the MCL. Like, you can win with Rite of Flame, Coloring the Week, and then using the Mox Ember as sack fodder if you really need
Mhm.
to. Or even keep like the altar becomes a lot more useful because you can like Rite of Flame, alter shit. You can do a lot with this hand. Like you can alter, you can also just go straight through the Emperor Cooter line. Just Tainted Pack down to a fucking Ruthless, and you'll be alright, right?
Yeah.
No,
I think there's a lot of possibilities, right? And this just more than necro. This is like deck awareness and what's my optimal line? And like I think we're all talking about, like there's a lot of optimal lines here. I do like this Voice of Victory as a turn 2 play, and kind of hoping it doesn't get removed. If it does get removed, we have very similar plans on our next turn. It's, do I push at sorcery speed or do I push with a Final Fortune or an E zone? So
yeah.
I think we're all saying the same thing. Turn 2 Voice of Victory is probably what we're doing, right?
I do admittedly think after looking at this, my line is the weakest, honestly. It's just for me, it's the more immediate line that I would see because
Sure.
I like guaranteeing cards in hand after the first Necro.
No
Because
way. The one that you see is the Jolly Balloon Man line? No way.
Shut up. But for me, like when I do Necro, whatever cards that I know can guarantee me specific cards in hand, right then and there, are the kind of the lines that I tend to lean to. Just because we're
Mhm.
so dense in combo cards and mana that I want to make sure I have the actual win attempt, whereas everything else is just going to find its place when you Necro. You
So
know?
I'd like to pivot this conversation a little bit to a more of a theoretical question on the practice. So
Yeah.
Zach, on this you said I'm going to do a turn one necro because I did scrubland, dark rit, necro. Let's see what we
Mhm.
can do, kind of thing. When you're
Yep.
practicing using necropotence, is that a general place that you start, or do you generally go, you know what, let's start with a turn two lands? Like what is your initial setup for I know I'm going to practice with Necropotence lines or Necropotence
Yeah.
piles? What is the go-to like situation that you simulate?
Good idea. Yeah. So maybe we can, like you're saying, Kellen, talk a little bit less about like what the specific line is here and more about the
Yes.
theoretical, like what's the practice patterns, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what I want to do is I want to set myself up in a couple different scenarios. I want to see what it's like turn one because those are usually very difficult to convert if you're not a deck like Rogsai, which has access to so much mana and such high, go button effect. So if I want to practice turn one, then I want to set myself up with this sort of situation where I don't have a lot of resources, and then I want to do that what I showed earlier to sort of get myself down to the cards that I'm considering for the line, and then I want to play through that line. I also want to set up myself for turn twos and turn three necros because those are all viable and things that can happen, and they change the context of how I'm keeping. What's generally true is that if I don't see a way to win the game with the turn that I cast the necros, like let's say, for example, that my hand right now is this. Like I cast necro, and this is my hand after the necro, right? I know I can probably convert this to a win pretty quickly. So that means that I might be able to go a little deeper on this next necro. All I need to do is find a final fortune here, and I win the game. So that means that I can rip quite a bit deeper. I already have my voice of victory, and I already have the mana that would be needed for me to find a final fortune, right? Because on my next turn, I could just go, boom, Rite of Flame. I guess I would need one more mana source, right, to go voice and final fortune. But I can rip deeper if I have the ability to win the game. So heuristics here are if I can't win on my next turn, I want to refill up to around 15 so that I give myself the best chance to find the resources to be able to convert into a win. And if I can win, that's when I'm going to allow myself to go a bit deeper. It's not always the full send if I'm able to, because I want to be able to push multiple times if I get stopped. The only time I'm really full sending into Necro is if I have the means to win the game right then and there with either an E zone, a Final Fortune. In other decks, like I said, it's a flash speed effect. But I really don't want to hamper myself by full sending on Necro until I'm really confident that I'm going to win, and I'm saying this is going to be the last turn that I get. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yes, this makes a lot of sense. What
Okay.
is the deepest? What's the deepest you'll ever rip on a hand that you don't have that flash or whatever? Is like 15 cards? That's the max you'll go, or has it been like, no, I know I'm not getting a lot more after this. I'm ripping 20-25.
Yeah. So if I'm deeper into the game and I have more resources, I'm more likely to go deeper into Necros.
Okay.
It's just like if I'm here, right, like if this is the situation and I have this mana untapped, I don't necessarily have a path to get to a final fortune right here, and me gambling on one card in my deck, getting that I get in 30 cards, like I have a 1/3 chance of getting it, doesn't feel like a great, it doesn't feel great to me, um,
Yeah.
especially because I can't cast a Born or a Flood Caller or a High Fate Trickster. So 15 is a comfortable number for me that lets me feel like I can get the resources I need to find that effect that's either A, going to win at flash speed, B, going to be a final fortune, or C, going to be a sorcery speed win attempt on my next turn.
Okay.
So can I speak to that just really quickly?
Yeah.
Just real quick. It's actually a lot more than that. What I'm doing right now in the background is I'm making like a reference card for based on what turn you're resolving Necropotence and how much available mana you have in your end step. I'm calculating likelihoods of you being able to find that final fortune effect and convert in the same turn without having to pass, with and without the inclusion of Chance for Glory. And I think it's pretty interesting. I'm still working on it. I'm not quite done yet, but I should hopefully be finished by the end of the stream. But it's you're a lot more likely to do a lot of damage, a lot more damage than I even intuited. These things are really interesting, but not done yet. So I'll check back in when
Sweet.
I'm finished. But I just wanted to add that. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds great. But yeah, just like, and again, Necro is really nuanced and it is super deck specific and pod specific. So you should feel it out on your own. But if you're having trouble with Necropotence, try the rule of like 15, where it's like I want to see at least 15, and that gives me enough time to break things down, look at those 15 cards, get rid of half of them, and keep half that I feel confident leading me to a good game plan. After.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And again, and Mike has actually said this multiple times in either the chat or in town hall meetings, where it's like Necropotence is a very high skill level card. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very unfair card. It's a very broken card, but like it's also extremely high skill level. Where if you don't understand your deck and you don't understand the table and you don't understand your pod, then you're gonna get burned on it a lot.
Yep.
So it's like if you are just starting off with this deck, it wouldn't shock me, and it's not out of the realm of possibility to not even run it. But
Yeah.
I think at this point, we've all seen this enough where it's like Necropotent's good. Like gets
Yeah.
lots of cards, it means lots of good things. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind as you
The,
guys go through this.
the other thing I'd say, like, if you're uncomfortable with this Necropotence, don't even worry about going crazy with it. Like, refill your hand. Use it as a card draw engine. Don't look at it as a combo piece. Just start off by saying, like, this is just a card draw engine. I'm just gonna just do like 10. Like, just do 10 and get new cards and be able to do shit on your next turn. You don't have to have the thought process of like, oh, how is this gonna win? Like, do I necro for 30 here? Like, just break it down to its simplest form, which is that it's giving you cards you otherwise would not have if you didn't have access to it for 3 mana.
I'm so happy that you said that because that is like such a big debate in this Discord a lot where it's like, well, how deep do I rip, man? I like this Necro's not good in this deck because I can't win immediately. Where it's like, or you could just see 8 cards a turn. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's
Like
the
I
mid
could.
range Necro is not bad.
These are both 3 mana cards. This one gives me as many as I want. This one gives me 3 max a turn.
Yeah, I mean that
Like this.
that's
There's great upsides to Timna. Like having fodder and gaining some life, right, and being able to crack top deck tutors immediately. But let's just remember they're both 3 mana cards, so you can always use this as a card draw engine.
Yeah, I think I like the rule of thumb that some of us have been trying to like focus on, where it's the number of cards you get off Necro is like 7, 10, 14, and then like the full send at whatever
Mhm.
your life total is. And like I've always lived by that for the most part with most of the decks I've played with Necro, and
Mhm.
it's worked out pretty well. Obviously I rarely do 7 because if I'm laying the Necro, I think seeing 14 is the better number, but I think a safe
Yeah.
number for 7, just so you get a whole new fresh hand, is a perfect starting point to learn how to do Necro too.
Yeah, yeah. It's also really difficult to evaluate cards when you have a lot of them. Like having to evaluate cards when we, can't play them and we have to get rid of a lot is intimidating and it can feel really daunting. And people that, are gonna full rip a necro and have to discard 20 cards are not gonna like that experience because it's uncomfortable. It makes other people wait for you. And so you feel like, oh crap, like I gotta decide quickly. And then you're like, fuck, I have 10 life now and I gotta, everyone's like screaming that I'm the problem and I don't even know what I'm doing. Like that's just not a fun place to be. So like you said, start smaller and let yourself get comfortable with it before trying to optimally use it.
That's that's some really good points. I don't think people, when they talk about cards like this, they don't talk about enough how the mental state of where you are after doing something like this in a game. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone's ever mentioned this in a podcast or anything like that. Like, I think that's a great point, where it's like, I just ripped 20 cards. No one's gonna sit here and think I'm not the threat. I'm
Yeah.
I'm not experienced with this, so I don't even know what I'm doing. And I'm
Mhm.
gonna be 3v1ing at this point. Like, this is not a
Yep.
comfortable situation to be in. Like, I
Yep.
understand putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation to get used to it, but this is unnecessary, you know? Like,
Right. Right.
why do that? So I think it's a
Yeah.
really good point, Zach. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, the best way to become more comfortable is to do it in a setting that's already comfortable. So mulligans on Moxfield or on paper, like doing necros on paper are really great because it's like you're putting yourself in the exact scenario you're going to be in a tournament or in a game, but you don't have anyone else waiting on you. So you can take your time, you can lay out all your cards, you can do what we're doing here. We're like, oh, maybe that's the line, or maybe this is the line. And then you can just play through it a few times. And I guarantee, like, if you do that, it will be eons better than trying to figure it out all the first time you're playing the card. So yeah.
I think
Excellent.
that as well with like Necro, uh, as far as when you're activating it, I think it's very important to calm down the table and let the table know that this is not a blue deck. Because a lot of people's experience with Necro comes with blue decks or decks that can have flash the enablers. I know some of us are in E-Zone, but a lot of us aren't. And talking the table down like, hey, this is a different power level. A lot of people get really scared because they know a opponent's going to come, right? But we are all doing this stuff at sorcery speed, talking to the table saying, hey, you're getting another turn when this Necro resolves. I can't win at it. And that's gotten my Necro to resolve so many times because there was another person that was the problem. They knew they needed to countermatch for that, right? So I think talking about Necro within the scope and the context of Mardu and calming down the table, especially when you're ripping a good amount and you're looking at these cards, I see a lot of people kind of almost give away what they're doing when you're looking at all this information. So it's like kind of be quiet or don't make your intentions known and let the table know that they are getting another turn no matter like what you do with the Necro.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. A lot of things in CDH, like politically, are just about um, like being comfortable sharing data, and also letting people know your limitations. And being like you said, I'm not a blue deck. I don't have flash effects unless I get an E zone, which I might. Um, and just kind of calming them down and being like, you're not losing right away. I'm in Mardu. I don't play that many counter spells, right? So it's not going to be just game over right away.
Yeah, as a side note, if you guys haven't watched the videos that Zach has put out about politicking with Zarek, I would put those videos under must watches for improving your game. Like, I think that they are invaluable data, and talking from two guys who are at the top of the CDH world, quite frankly, like, take notes on those videos. I'm going to put them in the Dargo information page of like required videos for improvement. Just saying.
I appreciate that, Kellen. Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, so I got to leave at 7, so I want to make sure that we spend this time really wisely. Um,
Perfect.
why don't we scrap the scenario, and look at what it's going to look like when we have more resources? So a more comfortable Necropotence. And again, if you're newer, these are better places to start because you don't have to work from the ground up. You can be like, okay, how do I get there? Like, what's the options that are available to me? I have more mana. I have more tutors. All right, so let's set ourselves up as if we're on like a turn. I don't know, turn 2.
Yeah.
So we'll grab some more lands. We're gonna grab a little more mana. We can grab a tutor. And these hands are super viable. Like you'll be able to see these and be like, oh, that's a great hand. Like I really like that.
I'm about to say this is already a really good hand. Like, holy shit! Holy
Yeah,
shit!
right.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
I'm keeping this puppy. Okay. Okay, so we'll just draw a random card here.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
my
so why don't we just play this hand out naturally from turn 0? We can assume we're turn 1. Again, highly recommend tools like Eldrazi Dev. If you guys haven't used those yet, those will show you pod compositions, and you can be a little more informed in your decisions. But usually I like to start off in vacuum so that you can just understand like what's good, what's bad, without anything else influencing the situation. Okay, so we'll draw for our first turn. We go boop, boop, boop. And then we can decide about the Vexing Bauble. I kind of like a Vexing Balba here just because our SWAT is not really going to be our plan this game. I don't see us getting a Timna anytime out soon, and it's going to let this Necro resolve later a lot easier. Worst case scenario is we just play the Bauble and crack it right now. But I think it's a perfectly fine play. What do you think, Kellen?
Yeah, I totally think it's viable. Absolutely.
Sweet. All right. So go to turn 2. I'm gonna go land for turn. Sequencing here, we have a couple options, but I'm leaning towards a Cabal Ritual for 3 black and a colorless floating into our Necro.
Well,
Mhm.
wait, you had Grim Monolith for turn?
Yeah, drew for turn.
Oh, I would have done Grim. That's tough.
The
think
only
we're-
reason I didn't sequence Grim first is because we open ourselves up to an MBT if we go Grim, Cabal, Necro.
Yeah, I know.
Not to mention,
We
what
can
are you
still
spending
cast
the
it after.
colorless on? After you cast the Necro, you're not spending the colorless on anything. No reason to rip it.
Yeah, we can still cast Grim, is what I'm saying here.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. You totally can.
Yeah. So this is a scenario which is very different from the first scenario in that I have so much mana, I have protection already. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable here to go a little deeper because this next turn really easily could just be a win. So in this scenario, you could go 30, right, and leave yourself with a little bit of life left. Again, that's really hard to sequence if you're new to this. You could go 20, and then that sets you up for a push on your next turn and a push on the turn after. Or we could just do 15. For this scenario, I'm probably, like if I'm playing this, I'm probably going to go 20. That leaves me open to getting attacked because we're on turn 2. There's going to be creatures out probably. And it leaves the possibility of being able to jam on the following turn. So for me, this is a Necro for 20. I'm looking for either a sorcery speed win effect on the next turn, a setup with an E-zone, or access to a Final Fortune so that I can rip for another 10 to 15 and Final Fortune with protection. All right, so I'm going to go up to 20. 1, 2, 3. 9 to 20. I'll lose 19 life. Okay. Same thing. I'm setting myself up so that I don't have to digest too much information at once by separating my cards into categories and then being able to decide what I need and how I want to win. All right, again, interaction, wins, mana, lands. And then cards I'm probably just not going to keep. I'm putting this, you can also have a separate pile if you want. You can separate it even more, just to have like protection versus interaction. This can, again, be a win or mana. Generally, it's more of a win card just because it's a little bit expensive. This can be, I would put it more in the mana category. 2 mana for a Lotho could work. Knuckles, just going to be too expensive at 4 mana for me to want to consider. And then swap. Yeah, we'll put here as interaction. Okay, so again, lot to break down here, but some things that we could do right away is we can just look at what's feasible. I'm 100% keeping Grand Abolisher here because that's just like the best card I see right now as a way to convert a win. I have pieces here to win the game at sorcery speed, but I don't have what I see as just a straight up win aside from a Citadel or a Nas. Like I don't have an A+B online. Mana wise, I can shrink the pool of cards I'm looking at by just taking away one of the fetch lands and one of the pain lands. Exotic Orchard is generally going to be better in this scenario, depending on the colors. I don't want to keep Nas and Citadel. If I'm in this scenario, I don't think I can really make Nas. Oh no, I can. I can totally make Nas mana. I'm looking at Grand Abolisher and then about 5 mana after to be able to Nas. Plus, I can play my LED and crack it after I crack my Vexing Bauble, obviously. I can also Imp Seal and crack my Bauble to draw the card. So that card looks really, really good. I could look at like a Burnt Offering here, or I could look for an A+B with these cards. SWAT, probably not going to need it right now, although I don't want to put it away right away. Portable Hole, always contextual, depends. Maybe we need it, maybe we don't. Bowmasters, probably not. Soul Partition, same thing. Contextually good, not always good. Lotho, Mardu Devotee. If we're going into the Burn Offering plan, into like a Naz, Nazing from 20 is not amazing, but we're going to have so much mana and an Abolisher on board, most likely, that it doesn't feel horrible. Let's see, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 cards. We got to get around 6 cards here. The Deadpool, again, is a B that we don't have an A to. So is the Relic of Legends. But the Relic is mana. The Deadpool's not. I'm leaning into Relic more than Deadpool here. I think we got to make some decisions about Lotho and Mardu Devotee as well. I don't know about you guys, but my current idea is to go into Naz. It just feels like I'm going to have a lot of mana. I can even set myself up with like an Imp Seal into a Burn Offering if I think that's worth it mana-wise. So the current plan right now, if we want to minimize and let ourselves think about where we're going, is I go into my next turn, right? I play my land, or I play the Phyrexian Tower, depending on where I'm going, but I can go, I don't know why these won't click. Let's do this. I think there, single tap. Play my Abolisher, right? Play my Imp Seal, get a Burn Offering, crack Bauble, play LED, Burnt. I guess mana-wise, I'm a little awkward, but I can go Relic here, make my Dargo, Burnt into Naz, and I have 2 extra mana plus the LED, so I have 5 mana post Naz with 20 life. That feels pretty good. I don't know. What do you guys think about this line? Like, am I looking into it too much? Is there an easy something I'm missing?
I think
The line
specific.
that I see. Sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say specifically with this Citadel over Nas every single day, because you
Yeah.
have Necro already in play. Just get rid of the card you don't need and just get to the card you do need. Like, there's no reason to
Gotcha,
to risk the ad Nas at 21 life. You could just win easily, and then you have a top deck tutor. That's a win with the Bolus on the field.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
the line that I'm seeing is you keep land, Lotho, Relic, Abolisher, Citadel, and I guess you can keep like LED and whatever else you want, but you only need those first 5 cards. Because if you go Lotho with the Vexing Ball, but it's really hard to interact there, then you use the Grim Monmouth to cast Relic, triggering Lotho. You can cast your Abolisher, then you can cast your Citadel, crack your Bauble with the Abolisher with no worries, and then Necro Citadel is just essentially a win.
Okay. Do you think we have the mana to get into Citadel from there?
Yes, you do. You do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
I just don't see the black mana, but I might be missing it. So like, let's go with this line.
Relic, Lotus Petal, Lotho trigger, and tapping Lotho to Relic.
Okay, so we go Lotho, Relic, Lotho trigger.
Trigger Lotho. Yep.
Lose our life. Now we have Abolisher here.
Yep.
Okay. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we still have to crack the Bauble.
You use the
2. Yeah.
Gives you up 1.
Yeah, the
But
LED.
you still can't. You I guess you can't crack the Bauble. That's exactly 6, right?
Yeah.
The line that could work here, right? We could do this line, right? And then we can Imp Seal for, let's see, if we crack here, Imp Seal, crack Bauble, we could get a Culling the Weak. I don't think we can get into Dargo because we don't have the 2 pips to. Oh no, we do. We totally can. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we go Imseal for
For Ruthless.
Technomancer.
You
Yeah.
have one. Oh, you already used those three right there. No, wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you're one off. You're one off. Never mind.
Okay.
As you were.
Cool. So we'll grab a burnt. So we Imseal for burnt. Crack Bauble, float a colorless, draw a burnt, cast Dargo.
We can also use Dargo just to sack the bauble also.
We need the
And
bauble to
that's
draw.
mana neutral.
That's the only thing.
You know, if you have Citadel, you don't, but
He doesn't have it in the
Oh,
field.
sure. But we need to cast it all. That's where I'm trying to go. Because we crack this treasure, we have a black floating after we play the Dargo, right? And then we can burnt Dargo into Citadel floating a black.
Yep.
Yeah, you'd have to use tower here. That's the issue.
And then you would
Well, not
also
the
float
issue,
a mana off of Dargo before you sack him too with a relic. You float a red.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dargo's mana neutral here.
So you have a red and a black floating when you go to cast your Citadel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And we have the colorless as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think this is pretty comfortable. It's gonna be, I mean, we'll see, right? Like we can play this out to its a natural conclusion. Rite of Flame into Beseech sack.
There's the win right there.
no, that's so you just go Rite of Flame, Dargo, Beseech, Bargain, Ruthless, and then you do your shit.
Right. So if we had
That's if you get,
and the
if you
great
get-
yeah, again, another really hard part about Necro is seeing the line without playing it out. Because you have to do this all in your head. If we had done this all in our head, we don't need any of this. This is on board. This is what we would have kept off of that Necro rip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was in play. This was in play. 6. Right. So this would be the 6 we had to keep. You know, and if we can see that line ahead of time, then this is an easy keep. But it's really hard to do that with Necro just because it's really difficult to play that whole line out in your head. It's so much easier when we have access to something like this, where we can see it.
And that's, as you mentioned before, like when you've played this enough times, you can just see like I can figure this out more and more. Now, before you get going, because you have about 5-6 minutes left, a couple questions I have for you. Number one, for context, how many times have you practiced Necro?
Oh God.
That's now
I have no idea.
Yeah, see, and that's kind of the point I wanted to make here is that this is an intensive practice, lots of reps, lots of trials, lots of errors. Would you say that when you first started this out, did you mess up a lot of lines? You go, "Whoop, I guess this didn't work out." Okay, guess we tried it. All right, try it again. Like when you were practicing. Okay.
Oh, I learned it the hard way. I did what I said you shouldn't do, which is Rogsai was like the first Necro deck I ever played. It was also like the first deck I'd seen a lot of success on in tournament. And I was like, I don't need to practice. I'm just going to go. And I had multiple games in tournament settings where I was like super flustered. I was like, I'm so bad at this. I don't like Necropotence. Like, I don't like this card because it's made me feel uncomfortable in games. I can't convert off of it. And that's in like a deck that this card is the best card in the deck. And so I basically was like, okay, there must be a better way of doing this. And that's when I was like, all right, I just set myself up for goldfishes. And so if I have a card like Necro or any card in a deck, like you do this with Nauses too, you become a lot more comfortable when you put yourself in scenarios where it's not like scary to do it and it's not intimidating. It's just like wrestling. Like you wanna kill yourself in practice so that when you're in a match and you're like fighting another human being, it's not scary. It's just like, oh, I have perfect stamina. I've done this 100 times. Nothing about this is worrisome because I've practiced so much.
Love the analogy there.
Yeah.
So as far as deck construction goes, when you're building a deck and you know you're going to put Necropotence in a deck, how many extra turn spells, flash speed effects, stuff like that have you felt like, hey, I think this is good for the deck. I think this is a good number. Have you overloaded on those kind of effects? Have you like underperformed on those? What's your opinion about that?
Yeah. So the first thing I'd say is I'm not the most qualified person to talk on this because I'm not a brewer. Like that's not what I think I'm really good at in this game yet. It's something I'm working on and I'd like to get better at. But when I'm playing a deck, I want to be able to have at least two ways that I can make a Necropotence really sing. Um, and in this case, we have Final Fortune and E-Zone. And I do think also in Dargo, like everyone should practice with an E-Zone. Like I would set yourself up in a scenario where you imp seal for E-Zone and try to win that way if it makes sense. Because that's when you have to practice a flash speed necro win. But when you don't have that many, like for example, a good deck to think about right now is Kinnan. Kinnan plays, some Kinnans play up to like 4 to 5 because you have Born Upon a Wind, Valley Flood Caller, High Fate Trickster, Emergent Zone if you play that card. And you kind of can count like crop rotation in that package. I guess you could also count like Court of Calling. That's a lot of ways to convert a Necropotence, and that actually happens a lot in Kinnan because of all the copy effects you play. And other people playing Necros. And that's why I think it's the best Necro deck in the format, funnily enough. But I would,
Wow, that's
I
a
would,
hot take. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
dog, if Kinnan could play Necro, holy fuck. Like that's
Soul
GG's.
I mean, they
Sign me
technically
the
can with
fuck
Mirror
up.
Maid,
Soul
Yeah.
Titan. Oh my god.
or in Clever Impersonator, they technically can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have Mirror Maid, Copy Enchantment, Clever Impersonator, Flash Photography,
Steel enchantment.
Steel Enchantment. Yeah, it's like when someone plays Necro and I'm playing Kinnan, I'm just like thrilled. I'm not countering that. You got it, dog. I'm just gonna look for my copy effect and then play one of my
Really?
4 flash inhibitors.
I think one thing too that I've noticed a big improvement on is finding a play group that you can play with and play face up with this. So for example, like
Yes.
I have Brandon, which you guys may have played with him in the Invitational. He played Magda at the Invitational, but I play with him weekly.
Brandon. What's his
He
name?
goes by Boss and I think a top deck Baus.
Okay. I think I
Uh,
played him in my top 16 match.
Yeah. So I play with him weekly, and a lot of the
Yeah.
times when we're just jamming games during the week, and like I have a Necro or I have a Nas out or a Bolus out or whatever, I'll just say, look, I'll just put my guards down and say, because we don't play to win, we play to get better. And I think finding a group
Yeah.
that you can just sit there and bounce ideas like right there, like within context, and people are just like, yeah, let me help you find the way to win it. That to me has shown more than just sitting here goldfishing all day. Because sometimes like you get in
Yeah.
your own head and your own play patterns and you don't see things that other people do. So I think it's also important to find a play group that you can play sometimes face up and just like what can I do from here? Like kind of what we're doing right now essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree with you. One of the best I think a large reason why I found a lot of success last year was my local play group did a thing. We went to Colorado for a tournament, and two things. The first was we did mid-range hell simulator, which is we all started in like a deep mid-range game where we all had engines and we tried to play it out. And you kind of skip all the setup of a game, you just go to mid-range hell. And then the other thing we did was we set up a game where we all played with our hands face up and walked each other through the decisions we were making and made comments on why we thought something was good or something was better or where we'd interact, kind of like as if we didn't understand or didn't know what the other person had in their hands. And we were just explaining like how we might politic a situation or why we might go for a specific line here. And totally agree with you. Like I think getting a good play group or a practice group, kind of like we've talked about on the podcast during our episodes, is invaluable, and it can be really, really, really useful to supplement your gold fishing at home with kind of like really intentional practice.
I
But
want
yeah,
to respect. I want to respect your time, sir. I want to really
yeah,
say first and foremost that I appreciate you coming and showing
yeah.
us how you practice your necropotent stuff, especially in the context of Dargo.
Mhm.
I appreciate you giving us some of your knowledge. And do you want to plug any of your things right now, or your podcast or anything like that?
Yeah, well, thank you guys for listening too. Like I said, I don't think I'm anything special, and these are just my opinions. I don't think that like the best opinions or anything like that. I hope it was useful for you guys to listen. And if it was, great. If there's anything that you saw that you were like, hey, maybe we could have done this, or the way you explained that didn't make a lot of sense, feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to chat. But yeah, I do podcast about getting better at CDH, and it's on YouTube and Spotify, and I think it's on some other podcast sites. I don't know, but it's called Sized-MTG. And we just talk about this kind of stuff. Cullen's been on a few episodes and has been amazing. And so it's been amazing to chat with him on there. Yeah. And if you guys find it useful, any support you give is really welcome. And again, I'm just doing this because I love this game and I love to play it. And I think that there could always be better resources to do so. So yeah, again, thanks for having me to chat. I had a lot of fun.
I really appreciate it, man. Thanks again. Have a wonderful weekend, and
Yeah.
man, can't wait to hear what you do on the next episode.
Oh yeah. All right. Sounds good. Thank you guys. I'm gonna run.
All right. See you later, Ben. Bye.
Bye for now.
Hi, Zach.
Bye bye.
All right. All right. So that does not have to conclude the actual town hall meeting. That was just he said he could take some time to talk to us about Necropotence a little bit. I know it's been a kind of a hot button topic in the Mardu Discord at this point. JB, did you finish that spreadsheet?
Yes, I did, and my eyes are open, and I have seen the light. I'm just kidding, but no, I think it's super interesting if you guys want to see. Um,
Yeah,
Also,
sure.
this is not only true for Dargo. This is actually true for all of Mardu. Um, so this is pretty interesting stuff. I can share my screen real quick if you
Please
guys
do.
want to
Please do.
see
Yep, yep.
what was going on.
I just said, yeah. Please share. Please share.
This is gonna be sick. Okay, so um, So this is something that if you guys are like goldfishing or whatnot, that you can reference. I'm actually just gonna post a link in the chat. I'll post it right now. Why not? It'll take me 2 seconds. Let me just do this real quick.
Yeah, and I can link that in the YouTube video when I get it uploaded as well.
It's also going to be on the information page.
Okay. Heck yeah. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
That I just posted in the Mardu chat. Go ahead and give that a click if you'd like. What this is well, it explains it here, but basically um this is our likelihood of being able to convert a Necropotence in the same turn, assuming we need to do a big dig. We've all been in those spots where we're like, I'm not getting another turn, and I don't have a flash enabler in hand, and I don't have a E zone in hand, and I can't value here. I have to just rip it and ship it. Um, that is actually what I do most with Necro. If I cast it and I don't have like 2 or 3 mana up, I'll value, and then on the next turn, if I see at least 2 mana, I'm going for it. And these numbers are going to show you why. So um, the different colors here are the conversion likelihood, assuming that 25 life is paid, and then 30 and 35 respectively. We're not going to be paying a bunch of life. We're not going to be always able to do that. But assuming that we're paying different amounts, the numbers are going to change. And then I've highlighted, or sorry, italicized the numbers that are the adjusted odds, assuming the inclusion of Chance for Glory. So adding Chance for Glory into this list dramatically shift a lot of these numbers, specifically around turn 3, and I'll get into that in a second. The reason is because your package of being able to draw a Final Fortune effect doubles, assuming you don't have to fish for Tainted Pact and Simian Spirit Guide. So, on if so, any questions so far on the logic behind the list and what this reference card and what exactly we're looking at here?
No?
Okay, sweet. So, um, the basic table layout is this is the turn that Necro is cast. This is the amount of mana that you have available at your end step. And this right here is your conversion likelihood. And then I also included some possible end step conversion play patterns for new players, as well as what specifically I used to calculate these percentages. So, for example, if we're looking at 3 mana, I calculated the odds of you finding Final Fortune and Tainted Pact, either one or the other, because you don't necessarily need both. And I also calculated that with respect to Chance for Glory, your odds of drawing either this or this, and then also having this. So those numbers are italicized below. And what you're going to see in this turn one, assuming turn one Necro is cast, you're going to start seeing the same trends throughout turns 2, 3, and 4. And that is very simply that when you have 2 extra mana, your odds of converting your Necro are relatively low unless you're paying at least 30 life. And even then, we're still getting 40, around 40%. Uh, turn as the turns go up, we see like a small bump in percentages there because this reference card also assumes that we're just drawing cards from our draw step before Necro comes down, and then once Necro comes down, this assumes we're not getting any other cards any other way because it's my experience that that's typically the case. You usually don't develop Timna or don't need to if you already have Necro. Sometimes you will, like I think we mentioned with Zach, but because I'm assuming the floor here, these are going to be the minimum chances of success. So when it comes to turn 1 or even turn 2, if we can have 3 mana available at our end step, our odds of conversion dramatically increase with the inclusion of Chance for Glory here. Normally, like, what would you say is like the most common scenario of when you would do a big rip? What turn? Just as a hypothetical, so we can look at that.
I mean, I'd probably say turn 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's what I was
Okay.
gonna say. Is turn 2 or 3.
Okay, so why don't we look at turn 3? Let's say.
Sure.
So let's say we get a turn 2, because this is what's going to happen most of the time. You're going to have a turn 2 Necro, and then you're going to do a little value rip or whatever, and then you can do a big ship. Or we can also look at a turn 2 Necro and seeing how much mana we have available and what that's going to do for us. So I guess let's start by looking at the most likely scenario. So on turn 3,
Mhm.
if we have 3 mana extra to use on our end step on turn 3, assuming we're casting Necro on turn 3, we have above a 52% conversion ability to convert it if we are running Chance for Glory here. Um, so that's the difference between not playing the card and playing the card, is that if you choose to play the card, once you have 3 mana after your Necropotence, your ability to convert jumps by 20% up thereabouts. Especially at 30 and 35 life. 25 life, it's almost 30%, or sorry, it's almost 20%, it's like 18%. But that was one of the most interesting trends that I saw, and that's consistent across turns. So if we play a turn 2 Necro and we have 3 extra mana to use on our end step, we see relatively the same buffs, which I think is incredibly interesting. So basically, putting a Chance for Glory in your deck will give you a 20% boost in your ability to convert a Necro Rip if you have 3 mana after your what's it called
Necro.
after during your end step. Now you might ask, well, I don't always have that. What if I only have 2 mana? You still get a fair bit, specifically when we're paying 30 life and above. Normally, if I'm dropping a Necro on turn 2 and I have 2 mana at my disposal, I will pay 35 life, in which case we get a significant bump around 9%. That's pretty good. Um, so I do think that there is an argument to play Chance for Glory as a means of converting your Necro Rips. Um, but I want to open it up to each of you. Even not excluding, or even excluding Chance for Glory here, you still have a pretty decent chance of converting your a Necro if you just want to rip the whole thing. But yeah, anyways, I'm done yapping. Anything you guys notice on this? And like any questions you want to ask or anything that's on your mind seeing this stuff.
I mean,
I-
I threw Warrior's Oath back into the deck just to test like having another extra turn spell in general because I don't
mm.
have a Chance for Glory. But it seems like Chance for Glory, strictly as a Necropotence card, seems like a pretty good add-in. Mike, what do you think about that?
I've been on Chance of Glory for a long time. Chance of Glory is fucking sick. There's like so many like little niche things for some like if you know you're gonna take an extra turn anyway, and you class Chance of Glory and make your creatures indestructible, it comes up enough where it's like gaining Timna life. That's like 2 extra cards for yourself at the very minimum. It's been really sick. Like having 2 chances to hit it is really really sick, and as well as you allows you to leave up different kinds of mana. There's been times where I've told people, "Hey, I'm gonna tap out my other red swords as a sign of good faith," and then and then I chance for glory. It's awesome.
How hard have you felt it to cast it? Because that's my only concern with it being red white. Is like how many times that do you have it in your hand? Do you just go, well, shit, I don't have the mana for that?
Well, it's awesome because it
Um,
eliminates the need for me to have to fucking like keep up double red, right? Because like the double red is really annoying because
Yeah,
most of our double pip spells are double black or double white. So having to keep up double red as well is mad annoying. So
right, yeah.
having that extra white pip makes it like so much easier. Like
So you think
that's
it's
what I'm
even
running.
easier than double red?
Yeah,
yeah,
because
it
like
is.
you're
It always
Okay.
is.
prioritizing double white and double black most of the game, and the only double red card in the deck is final, right? So it's like it allows you to prioritize those other 2 colors and be safe and comfortable. Um, so in
The
my
issue
opinion,
with it, the issue with it is the fact that it's 3 mana, so it's a
Yeah,
lot harder to full send. But once you get to already having 2 available mana, Chance of Glory is just exceedingly easier to cast because you can cast it off a Scrubland and a Soul Ring if
yeah,
you
yeah.
find something in Spirit Guide. I have also had it come up before where I've had a bunch of creatures in play and the indestructible lets me draw a few extra cards off the lifelink, or gives me the life to activate Necro at the end step if they like kill Timna before I draw cards, etc. Shit like that. And then with the delayed trigger, you have your E zone bullshit. Like I've had that come up before. Um, I have noticed for me, my win rate absolutely increased once I had Chance for Glory, simply because Necro became such a better engine for me to use to win the game. Like I think everybody can see how often I say I go for Necro almost every fucking game. Like
Yeah,
it's
a
just
couple
so
things
good.
I will say too that it's important to note is people complain about this card's mana cost, but remember, if we are casting a turn 2 Necropotence and we're going into a turn 3 Rip, let's say we do value and then we come in here, um, I think the deck should be capable because it produces so much mana through treasures to produce 3 mana on that following end step, assuming we're casting Necro on turn 2. So we cast Necro turn 2, we do our value rip, and you might say, well, Jared, like I can't pay a 30 life or whatever into my Necro after valuing. Okay, sure, but guess what? If you can spare 25 life, let's say, you're still converting more than half the time. So if I
And
told you that if you could spare 3 mana on the end step following the turn that you played Necro and you had 25 life to pay, and I told you you would convert that more than half the time, that would be positive EV across rounds. You would win most of the time in those spots, and you wouldn't have to wait and just keep valuing. You could just rip it. Now, if you don't play Chance for Glory, you can't do that as much, but you're still relatively fine there. But the inclusion of this card boosts this play pattern significantly. Um, and that was something that I didn't expect. I was like, how could one card boost a particular idea? So,
I mean, if you think
and it
about it,
does.
blue
It's
decks
pretty
only
substantial.
play blue decks only usually play Final Fortune plus Final Fortune, Born Upon a Wind, and maybe Valley Flood Caller, right? So it's like
Mm.
they're converting really well. And also I want to say the card that's not on here is also Burn Off. Like if you have a creature, you can 1 mana Burn Offering Final Fortune. Like if it's a Timna or like a 2 mana thing. As well as if you have a white mana, black mana, you can Burn Offering as well into a
Or if it's a treasure dork,
deck.
even.
Yeah, people don't
yeah,
do that enough. I don't see enough people like the Burn Offering is really, really good for also converting a throw.
yeah. I mean, Chance for Glory has been so good for me in Tim the Dargo that I've been thinking of putting it in my blue farm list. Honestly,
So one thing
like
I want to
Whoa,
ask.
whoa, whoa, hold on. You're playing Blue Farm now. Why should we take anything you said?
Well, no.
I have said this
Okay.
before. I have gone to the dark side. Don't listen to me.
So one thing I wanted to ask is, outside of the Necro, then, what do you guys feel Chance for Glory, does it actually increase our win percentages, or do you think it's just sometimes like sunk cost fallacy at that point?
I think that's the same as running any Warrior's Oath effect or anything like that. A lot of times in this deck, I'm sure I'm not the only one who has felt this, where it's like, man, if I had one more turn or one more untap, you're fucked.
So
Like,
I feel that too, but this is maybe it's my play difference or play style. I just feel holding, like, passing the turn with 3 mana open, unless I have like a Tithe out or a Lotho out, is very rare for me. Is my
oh no
only
no no
thing.
no.
You know what
I
I mean?
I want to be clear. I'm not saying to pass the turn with Chance for Glory in your hand.
Right.
I'm saying I just want an extra turn. I'm ripping this now.
Mm-hmm.
And if it
Okay.
gets countered, great. Whatever. Like, so be
Yeah.
it. Like, it's not me
Also,
holding up and saying gotcha, unless I really am like, I know for let's say we're in seat 2, right? And we have Chance for Glory. We don't really have the resources in our hand to push on our turn, and we know that uh seat 4 is 100, or like seat 1 tutors at seat 4's end step, and like, oh, they're winning now. Like, they tutor, like, they're like enlightened tutor for an underworld breach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I can say, okay, no, I'm getting my turn. I'm gonna try and push now. If I can, great. If not, I'm gonna lose anyways, right? So who cares? But normally, when I'm talking about Chance for Glory, that's not Necropotence related. It's
Mm-hmm.
very much a, hey, I'm casting this at sorcery speed, and then just having another extra turn, because if you guys didn't counter the Chance for Glory, and none of you are playing like white, or you have mana open white, then yeah, I'm just doing it now. Like, I don't care.
So okay, so you're not viewing it as like a, hey, I'm gonna hold up 3 mana, pass the turn, wait for the stack battle to ensue, Chance for Glory over top of it, and get my turn before somebody else gets done tap.
No, but
No,
the fact that you can do that is
Is
really good.
important.
And one thing
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will say about Chance for Glory that doesn't work with Warrior's Oath is that you cannot use a Warrior's Oath preemptively if it's not in your hand. So these numbers here only apply if we don't have these numbers assume that we don't have any way in our hand to do it. Because if we had a way in our hand to do it, we wouldn't need this chart at all. We say, oh yeah, 100% of the I have a 100% chance of trying to convert this,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
we already have.
Yeah.
But this is for the times when you don't have a way in hand. What is the likelihood that you just get it?
Mm-hmm.
And if you bring this reference card to your practice sessions or whatnot, it can help you make more informed decisions. Let's say it's turn 3 or whatnot, and you don't have a Chance for Glory in your deck, and you're like, okay, if I do this, I have 4 extra mana on my turn. 4 extra mana on my end step. What's my likelihood of converting based on how much life I'm going to pay? And you might see, oh, I actually have more than a 56% chance if I can spare 30 life. Can I spare that much? No, I can only spare 28. Ah, but that's still pretty close. Maybe it's less than 56, but somewhere above this, that might be enough because you also have Tainted Pact for your Final Fortune. So even if you're not playing Chance for Glory, this list can help you. It can help you make those calculated risks and those informed decisions when you're in those spots, either in practice or in a tournament game.
For sure. Yeah.
also for uh, for as far as like holding it up, I said I was going to talk about this for another guy, but essentially your final fortune effects also help you beat silence. Like there's been a lot of times where you can present a board state where like you cast a Grand Abolisher or something, they silence you. Okay, cool. You final fortune. I've even had it to where this like goes with Necro. Is if you have Necro out, you cast a Grand Abolisher, they obviously silence you. You go to end step, your Necro trigger, you final fortune and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like final fortune totally helped me beat silences, as well as opening the windows on other people's turns.
No. I have that
Like
same play. I have that same play pattern as well. I just didn't know if we're doing the same thing with Last Chance, even with it being the way that it is mana wise.
yeah, we shit mana. Like mana's like never
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
problem.
Well,
Like
the other thing also is that Chance for Glory is only a 50% increase in mana cost, so it's not actually that big of a
Right.
difference. Like going from 2 to 3 is not the same as going from 1 to 2. Um, so realistically, the mana isn't really that big of a deal, in my opinion, anyway. But there's also things that it does otherwise. Like it also pitches to Chrome Mox for more colors.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that is definitely something that I've done plenty of times, you know. Just using it to force a window in general, even at sorcery speed, is still something very valuable. Like so, I think most of it comes down to how much you want to actually play into your Necro in your deck versus using Necro as like kind of like a draw engine as opposed to an actual MDE effect where you're actually just winning once you cast it. So
So I guess then really the argument, and Kellen, I kind of want to see if you even have your recent experience with this, is Warriors of versus Last Chance. Like,
you mean
where do we
Chance for
feel?
Glory?
I mean,
Yeah.
Chance, yeah, it's Chance for Glory versus Warriors Oath. Like, where would you compare those
So,
two?
so I am normally of the opinion. So I asked this same question of Pontus, and his answer to me was Final Fortune is the number one thing you have to run. Then you do a sorcery speed, and then you can go Last Chance or Chance for Glory if you want to. But and then back to sorcery. In my opinion, Warrior's Oath is I haven't seen it enough to be like, oh yeah, this has been great in the deck. But I will say, as a personally as I brew things, if you're gonna tell me there's a more versatile way to do something, I'm probably gonna and well, it costs one more mana. I'm probably still gonna take it anyways. Like to me, the option of instant speed is more valuable than that one mana.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I ran
it
four of
comes
them.
down to the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I ran all four of them for like maybe 2 or 3 months. Um, Definitely, they're high intense skill intent. Like a lot of these cards are high intense skill cards, and they open more windows. But you have to be planning for it. I know I have 4 Final Fortune effects in my deck, right? So I'm able to capitalize on that. But I agree with Hebrew. I would definitely do Last Chance, like Chance to Glory, before the sorcery speeds. Because the sorcery speeds they only open up windows on your turn, right? Like you have to be pushing and know that you're going to do it, and that it really sucks fucking topping a Last Chance in your Necro when it could have been a Chance for Glory.
Okay, so
I
you
was gonna
you
say it goes to the efficiency versus resilience question. Like, yes, Warrior's Oath and Last Chance are more efficient. They're less mana, but they don't have the diverse range of applications that Chance for Glory has. Because where Chance for Glory can boost your odds of from going from a place of not being able to convert a Necro to converting and winning on the spot. Um, Last Chance can't do that for you because it's not an instant speed card. Um, and so, yeah, it is less efficient to pay one more mana for something that does the same thing, but because its applications are more broad, it has a greater degree of resilience to different game states due to its wider range of applications, I would say. And so it just comes down to a personal taste thing. Um, I could totally see why Pontus would want the more efficient card. You know, there's as you move more turbo, you want more efficiency, but as you move more mid range, you want more resilience. So it just kind of depends on what you want, what you're looking for, and what kind of a player you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I mean this might be me putting words in Pontus's mouth, and if he sees this, I apologize. But I think it's also like you're talking about the whole turbo thing. He's not really. I feel like he's not looking to necro the same way like my list is trying to necro. Like he's literally just trying to win right then and there. You know, he's not trying to do some cute things at like end step or instant speed. He just wants to win the game as efficiently as he can. So I think again, it's a play to style thing.
So, excuse me. There's going to be an episode with casting costs that we're going to record sometime in the next week or two, where I'm going to talk about how piloting a turbo deck with a mid-range attitude has been kind of like it was a learning curve because I am not a turbo player. I'm just not. Like I would never consider myself a turbo player. I would never consider myself a player that like brews to win now kind of thing. I much more value the resilience and the different applications of cards. For example, like Seize the Spotlight and stuff like that. Like that's the kind of shit I love to brew with. But when it comes to this kind of card choice. That's why like Chance for Glory for me is it really the only reason why I'm running Warrior's Oath over that is because I don't have a card. Like that's the only reason why I have not been running it.
So
And
that's kind of
And
no.
go ahead.
No, so that's kind of what I was getting at is, obviously you want to run one of the over. My outlook on this is if I'm making a swap for a card, I want it to have more uses than just one particular use. Like, and that's the reason I asked about the Warriors versus the Chance for Glory instancy sorcery. Not necessarily because of the casting cost, but like the utility of it. When am I using it? How often am I using it? And I feel like if I'm using only a certain card for a certain play pattern, which is Necro, I don't really want that card because I'm not a Necro deck. I run Necro, but I'm not Necro focused. Like that's not my game plan. But
No,
if I
I
get
think
to if I get to run a card that I can take advantage of it with Necro, but I can also take advantage in other situations, then I'm for it.
I can absolutely see myself, and I'm pretty sure Mike has done this. I'm sure more than once, where you're just like, look, cast Chance for Glory, just so I can swing with Timna and like these other two dudes, and they won't die. Like you can block them if you want, but they're not gonna die.
Yeah,
And people will be like, well, I'll block Timna so that way you don't get those cards drawn. Okay, I'll just do it next turn. And they're like, oh, that's right, you have another turn after this. Yeah, like I'm getting my cards, bro, whether you want them or not. Like,
yeah.
so like this is I get that's the thing. Last Chance doesn't really do that. Last Chance can go, okay, I'm gonna cast Last Chance. Cool. Swing with Timna. Cool. Block and kill your Timna. Shit. Now I don't get cards. Like,
Yeah.
or I definitely see Chance for Glory having more opportunity for other things. And as was mentioned before, like I could pitch it to a Chrome Mox and get 2 colors off of it. Like that's kind of good.
Yeah,
Like if you
no.
if I have an opening hand where it's like land, Final Fortune, Chance for Glory, Chrome Mox, Mardu Devotee, and like run something else random, like so, like what, there's something else that's
Gas ass
random.
hand right there.
Oh, dude, like yeah, I didn't have to mention that's a bold of 5. I'm keeping that shit. Like ridiculous. Like I'm fine with that. You know. So I think Chance for Glory personally, like I'm literally gonna update my list like after we're done with this to reflect that because I bought one as we've been talking. So like I think that it's good enough that when I start coming back to play and like really start grinding, I think Chance for Glory is probably gonna go in the deck and stay in the deck.
Oh shit! Now I gotta go look and see if my LGS has one now.
Yeah.
Another
No,
card that Mikey said was goaded that everyone
never mind.
doubted.
I'm cutting it. It's burned. Never mind. Never mind. We're done. We're done. We're done.
Wait, Mikey. I need to ask. Did you speculation buy this? Because this thing has gone up over the last few months. Are you
what's
how
it at
deep
right
in
now?
this?
Nah,
It,
but I have
It's at
this
22.
one.
it's at 22.
Is
It
that for
was.
foil or non-foil?
That's foil.
Foil. Yeah.
Oh,
It
okay, yeah,
it
I bought
was at
mine at
it
18.
was yeah, it was at 13 and now it's up to 20. Mikey, how many do you have of these?
I bought mine for $10.
hmm I think you're sitting on some. You're not telling us.
Yeah. So get this man. He's fucking hiding information.
Hey, it's actually
market
The
going
market
up.
manipulation.
My stocks are going up.
Another
Actually,
thing I gotta say too, because Joey's in this call, this card Chance for Glory alongside Knuckles makes a lot of sense too. So
Yep.
playing things like that, like, and just one of the things that made me commit to the card too was trying out the Knuckles package and just going all in on the sorcery speed mentality. And I think Chance for Glory is, I've said this many times, it's always constantly in and out, in and out, in and out of the list. But I don't know. I mean, looking at this, like if I'm playing cards like Academy Rector and I really want a Necropotence and I'm not really drawing any other cards outside of playing a fundamentally mid-range plan, which is Timna. Timna's fundamentally mid-range by definition because you're developing a board state and then capitalizing on it for advantage. Being able to do so with lower investment um, and having a higher density of payoffs for that play pattern when we're already tutoring for it a billion ways just makes a lot of sense. And the fact that it synergizes better with the sorcery speed inclusions that I put in, like Delny and Knuckles, I think a lot of the things that I'm trying to do with the deck are making a lot more sense, and it's a lot more consistent. The mentality behind it is a lot more consistent. So that's another reason why I'm trying it. I'm not convinced that it's right or anything, but it does seem pretty cool.
I guess Felia's
Uh,
going back
Oh
out to
yeah.
pasture. Damn it.
yeah, and that's another thing. Like I literally put together Tyam just to like give me another excuse to run Thalia again. Like I don't see Thalia coming back anytime soon, unless the decks really start to slow down. And I think people are understanding at this point that if I put more win attempts on the stack, I win more games? Question mark. Like mid range, I feel has just like the whole idea behind mid range has also sped up a turn, right? Like people get their mystics out faster. They're trying to go back to the world of like mana crypt where they can get it out turn 1 or 2 if they can.
I
You
think
know,
what I've been seeing lately is people are still mid raging, but they're seeing the value in putting wins on turn 2 and turn 3 and turn 4. Not going all in on turn 3 or all in on turn 4. They're like, no, I'm gonna try to put a win on turn 2. If that doesn't stop, okay, that's fine. I can recover to turn 3. That's what I've been noticing is people have been trying to just naked win, and if it gets stopped, they just try to
They
win
just
again next
yeah
turn.
So you're
yeah,
so
or
telling
they
me
or
they're
they hold their
saying
interaction instead of trying
Yeah,
to defend their win. They
yeah,
just make sure that the next person doesn't win, and then they put another win on the stack
yeah,
afterwards.
so
exactly,
you're
yeah.
telling me win faster is a thing? What the hell? What
Oh,
the hell?
he said the thing.
He said win faster.
no, I did not say win faster. I said put more win attempts up. That's different.
Brother,
Okay,
I just saw Mikey float across the sky. His head's so high right now.
Oh, dude.
okay. I'm just a dude, man. I'm just
Ballooned up over here.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
People
man.
are
Yeah, the balloon man's making getting Mikey over here.
people are winning too fast these days.
I gotta go because it's 7:30 and that was my hard cutoff. I just didn't announce it, but yeah, I hope everyone who wants to takes this, and the next time you're thinking about making a big rip because you don't think you're getting a turn and you don't have any other ways to convert your necro, I hope the next time that situation happens that you'll take a look at these numbers and say, do I want to take the chance or do I not? I think this is going to be helpful. I'm definitely going to look at this like every time I'm doing Necro in Mardu from now on. And it works for any Mardu deck. It works for all of them because all Mardu shells play the same, relatively the same Necro packages. So um, nothing Dargo specific here. It's just the likelihood of if we're going to be able to do that Final Fortune thing on our end step or Tainted Pact for it as well. So I'm definitely gonna be looking at this, but I got to get going. Before I head off, though, does anyone have any last minute things they want to ask about how the scope of this, or anything that this is including, or what I'm saying here by making this or whatnot before I hop off?
I know this is like hyper specific, but is there a way, just out of curiosity, to figure out like the odds of being able to have just double red versus the red and white?
Yeah, so for that, it would be more valuable to do an in-depth simulation where you're running
Okay,
millions of hands. Um, so that is outside of the purview of what I'm doing here. But I think that lists like this and Dihada can make so many treasures to where the pip
it's
colors don't
irrelevant.
necessarily matter. Yeah, I think so. I think it's just best to think of, hey, do I have 3 mana in my end step?
Sick.
Cool. How much life can I pay? Oh, 30? Nice. Am I playing the what turn is it? Am I playing Chancellor Glory or not? What are my chances here? Um, and I think that that's going to be the most helpful application of this.
Hmm.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier, I know this whole conversation has been kind of geared towards Necro, but part of the reason why I've been preferring Last Chance over Chance for Glory is actually not Necro, but converting Ad Naz. Because a play pattern that I've always found myself in is I'll do like main phase Ad Naz, find 2 mana, Last Chance, and then, win on the next turn kind of thing. So I was curious if you had any input on that.
Last
Say that one
chance
more
is
time.
the
Say that one more
uh,
time.
if I could
I was
restate.
saying, yeah, so like argument for Chance for Glory versus Last Chance Warriors Oath, something like that. Um, I found that the 2 red is easier to find after an Adnaz than red white colorless, and that's why I've been playing Last Chance over Chance for Glory.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah, last chance will always be the more efficient, efficient card. And Adnaz is a hyper efficient thing. It says 5 mana, I draw 20 something cards now. So if you're into hyper efficient play patterns, Last Chance is going to be what you're going to prefer. If you're into more versatile applications and more sort of desperate necro rips like I am sometimes, then I think you're going to get more mileage out of Chance for Glory. But yeah, it's a personal taste thing. I've just included it in these calculations because it's the only one of those two cards that can help us in a desperate necro rip. Because the other one can't help us out. But you're right, it's better at converting a Nas. It's better at converting a turn that where you're playing at sorcery speed, because it's fundamentally the more efficient.
It also helps convert them on Citadel lines as well too, I would imagine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the one life does come up. I mean, for me personally, like, if I ever have the mana with a tutor to get like Adnons, I'm actually going. Me personally, I go for Necro first. But part of that is due to the fact that I run Chance for Glory over Warriors of Last Chance. So again, it's
Yeah.
like playstyle preferences also play a part into that kind of thing. I feel
Sure.
way more confident with a Necro over an Adnos, to be honest, at this point.
This whole last thing
I-
I gotta say before I head off, this whole reference card is playstyle based because if you never want to do a rip with Necro and dig for a Final Fortune effect, then you're never going to want to do any of these and you won't care about any of these numbers. I just think that it's a play pattern that we are going to have to do sometimes, and it's important to know what our chances are when we do it. But yeah, this is all fundamentally a playstyle conversation. There's no right or wrong based on what's here. This is just what are my chances if I need to do this big desperate rip, based on whether or not I'm playing a card that helps me with that particular play pattern. But yeah, thank you everyone so much. I gotta go. Like genuinely, I just gotta hop off. So I'm really sorry. Be listening.
Thanks,
back to
mate.
Go for it, Joe.
Thanks,
As
man.
always, man. Thank you.
answer your questions. Yeah, no worries, guys. Take care.
Have a good one. See you
You
later.
too. Bye.
All right, I think that's a pretty comfortable place to stop for tonight, unless anyone has any other further questions or comments that they'd like to add to this. No.
No,
No, not at
I'm
all.
good.
Thanks for letting me listen in, though.
Oh, of course, of course. I hope you guys enjoyed having Zach coming on and like just kind of going through his practice stuff. I've been going over necro lines like goldfishing a lot lately because you guys said that that was something that you were interested in. I haven't been playing in any really events since wrestling season's been going, working 6 days a week. Um, but once February hits, I'll start competing again. But I think our next town hall meeting we could do another set of necropiles where instead of focusing on how to practice necro, we actually just practice necro as a team and go, okay, let's go through the lines and see which ones that we like better. Because we had a little bit of that this time around, but we didn't actually like play them out. So I think next time we do a necro, our next town hall, we can do it like 2 weeks, and we do a like a hey, we're gonna actually just practice necro together. So yeah,
Yeah, no, that's solid. Like that.
okay. Well,
Yeah, for
thanks
sure.
guys for joining. Thank you again for
Sounds
recording,
good.
Thor. Once again, I super appreciate that. I'm just not tech savvy enough to